Special Topics 2, Test 6. Which type of regenerative braking system uses electrohydraulic? An electrohydraulic system, electrical over hydraulic system. That would be the series regenerative braking system. Okay, kinetic energy is what? The energy in any moving object. What is inertia?
B.
What'd you say?
B.
I'd say it's D.
Yeah,
Delta, that's right. The energy of any moving object that has weight. If you're going to say, you know, the letter, always put Delta, Charlie, you know, because I have issues understanding B and D. Let me see. What Technician A says the powertrain control module or controller can control the voltage to the motors in an hybrid electric vehicle. Technician B says the PCM or controller can control the electric motors by varying the frequency of the applied current. Which technician is correct about that?
Both.
Both of the guys are right about that. Good call, Adam. All right, number 5. During braking on a hybrid vehicle, electric vehicle equipped with regenerative braking, it occurs when, let's see, what occurs when the driver depresses the brake pedal? It's really quiet in here right now. What do you think? Where's Joe?
You know, cutting up,
Yeah,
doing Joe stuff.
I've already called Joe one time, huh?
He's around.
I can actually hear him talking outside.
Well, I guess he's better than being a square. Huh? All right, what about it? The motors
Some generators.
become generators. And what do the generators do?
Charges the battery.
Yeah, that's a good thing. Whenever you're driving and you're hitting the brake light on something like a Ford Fusion, you'll see the battery voltage go up to 600 volts sometimes when you're hitting the brakes a lot. I mean, it really juices the batteries up strong.
Is it just converting the heat or the energy that?
Well, actually, you can take an electric motor. You can take any electric motor that you can spin the shaft on, and if you hook a meter to that, the little contacts, you know, where you feed the motor to make it run, if you hook a meter to that, if you spin it, you'll see voltage there.
That's why alternator works, because the engine, the belt is moving the alternator.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It does that.
Yeah.
Well, I noticed that this record player I used to have, it was a relatively new one, but it's got this red LED on it, or the power button. If you don't have it plugged in at all and you start spinning, it lights up.
You got it. Same deal. Whenever my boys were little, I used to build stuff with them and all this kind of stuff and teach them about electrical circuits and all that. Of course, my oldest son wound up in a nuclear program because of that, but in the Navy. But I said, I got a little vehicle speed sensor, and I put a little LED in there, hooked it up, and I spun it, and it'll make the LED light up. And he goes, hey, I've got an idea. Why don't we take one of those little electric motors over there, hook it up to this speed sensor, hook a battery to the electric motor, spin the speed sensor, and the light will stay on all the time. I said, why don't we hook the battery to the light? Wouldn't that be the same thing? I mean, there's a lot of extra hardware you don't need it there to get to that job. If all you want is a light to burn, you can just hook a battery to the light. Okay, of course you don't have a lot of this fun stuff going on. Technician A says front wheel drive hybrid electric vehicle can only generate electricity during braking from the front wheel motors. Technician B says the anti-lock braking is not possible with a vehicle equipped with a regenerative braking system. That's A only. Here's something else. Be aware of the fact that if you're checking the brakes, if we're checking the brakes on a vehicle, typically we don't worry a lot about the rear brakes, do we? Not a whole lot, because they don't wear out as often as the front ones. If you're going to check the brakes, you're going to focus on the front ones and pay attention to those, because they wear out. You know, all the weight shifts to the front, all this kind of thing. The difference on the hybrid vehicles, the rear brakes wear out first. You know, because the front ones, a lot of the braking for the front is done with those motors, and so the brakes don't work as hard on the front. And any braking that's done by the ones on the back is going to wear them out. And they're typically smaller anyway. So look at the rear brakes really close if you're fooling with a hybrid. In a regenerative brake system, which part of the electric motor is being controlled by the computer? What do you think about that? The stator. This is the stator. Now, what is the stator? When you're talking about that, what's the stator in an alternator look like? You know? See that part over there? That winding that's around, that's got looks like a donut?
Oh, the coil?
Yeah, that's actually a stator. But the rotor is that part on the bottom left, right over there, that spins inside the stator. So the rotor is the part that spins, because you remember rotors, rotor, rotation, whatever. And the stator is the part that's static. It doesn't go anywhere.
I was starting to think that maybe it has something to do with this, like a static field.
Yeah, sort of. I mean, basically it's a winding that's not moving. but stuff is happening in there. So basically, if you've got a permanent magnet rotor and you're driving with your AC current with a stator, you're actually, and causing those magnets to run from that magnetic field, that's basically what they're talking about doing. So you're basically driving you're shooting, that's why it's brushless. You got me, because you're actually sending current into the stator to cause the motor to spin without, and these.
What is the brush?
Huh?
Like, if you have something that's not brushes.
Yeah, brushes are actually what ride on these little commutator segments, like in a starter. That's where brushes are. And that in those, the magnetism is generated in this, and the permanent magnet's on the outside.
What is it made out of, the brush?
Oh, the brushes are basically a little sintered bronze. I mean, they're like powdered bronze that are compacted, and they slide on these. And it creates a magnetic field that automatically runs from the magnet because it's got the same pole. And every time it runs, it moves to the next one, and it keeps spinning. Matter of fact, I got a little fan motor that I pulled out of a fan on a Honda when we took one apart, and you can actually touch these alligator clips on either side and hook to the battery, and it'll start spinning. Your brushes become the. But anyway, if it's brushless, everything that's happening to spin the motor is happening in the outside, and the rotor is actually reacting to the magnetism that's created in the stationary part of it. So that's what that's all about. In a Toyota Prius regenerative braking system, how many pressure sensors are used?
2.
Maximum was 4. It's going to be a big number. In a Toyota Prius regenerative braking system, how many pressure switches are used? 2. Got it? 2 technicians are discussing deceleration rates. Technician A says 1 G stop is a gentle slowing of the vehicle. Technician B says the stopping rate of 8 feet per second squared is a severe stop. Neither one of those guys. High voltage batteries are designed to be charged no more than
80%.
80%. Good answer. What position is the throttle pedal in during? What position is the throttle pedal in during regenerative braking? This is going to be a duh answer, you guys.
The throttle's ignored.
It's fully lifted. Fully lifted. You don't have your foot on the gas and a brake at the same time if you're a smart driver. In the Toyota Prius, which controller is responsible for regenerative braking control? Ding, 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 ding. I need to get these buttons where you can mash the button and it goes, and then I call on the person that mashed the button. The ABS ECU is not too hard, is
What
it?
is D?
Which one?
I said, no, I meant like Jeopardy.
Yeah, what is D? What is the ABS ECU? When changing the brake pads on a Ford Escape Hybrid, what precaution must be taken before removing the brake pads? You use a scan tool to enter pad surface mode. Why? Why do you do that? Because on a Ford Escape, if you don't do that, you may be fooling with the brake pads, and it may decide to go ahead and just run those things, pinch the brakes. And if you have your hand in between there, and it's not going to stop until you have no hand. You know what I mean? There is, if you don't have the scan tool, there is a fuse you can pull, but you got to know which one it is. So be careful about particularly on the Fords, because they can apply the brakes without warning. In a hybrid vehicle electric motor, which component moves to supply torque to the wheels?
Rotor.
Very good. Ooh, he's a natural. Listen to that. Regenerative braking uses the inertia of the vehicle to recapture energy during braking. Where is this recaptured energy stored?
Is it in the high energy voltage?
It's the high voltage battery pack. The high voltage battery pack. This is not a charade. The hybrid vehicle electric motor is usually what kind of motor?
DC.
AC. It's an AC motor. A brushless motor works by? What did I just tell you guys?
Hey.
Come on. Look at B. What does it say? Rapidly switching the stator field windings. Some hybrid vehicles reduce the internal combustion engine's braking capacity during deceleration so that the regenerative braking is more efficient. That's done by doing what?
Closing the valves in some cylinders.
Yeah. He thinks pretty clearly, doesn't he? Are you impressed with the answers that he gives?
Some days.
It's like you've been reading the book. Okay. When the electric motor is acting as a generator, it produces alternating current. This current is converted to direct current by use of what?
More.
What?
None of
Come on.
these. B.
Large diodes. Large diodes. Slap yourself and mark that one wrong.
That's right, because the diodes is what makes a rectifier, right?
Now, a diode is a one-way valve, and they got to be put in there in a certain
Yeah,
configuration before they'll do that. Like basically,
Because they only travel one way, right?
I may not even be drawing it right, but if you got you got diodes, you got 4 of them right here.
It's in a bridge.
Yeah, like that, like that, like that, like that. And these are your connection points right here. Like that. And if I remember right, AC comes in here. AC, well, not AC, it's AC.
Air conditioning comes out that one.
Yeah. Okay, AC. No, AC goes in, and this right here, let me see if I can remember. And power comes out there. Whatever. So basically, if you got AC coming in, it's going to be, you know, you can read AC with a test light just like you can, but your meter's got to be set on AC before it's going to read AC, unless it's an automatic meter like that one I keep in my office. But anyway, that's what a rectifier. You got diodes that have got to be laid into configuration before they'll actually rectify the current. And you're not going to just be able to put a diode in there or a series of, if the diodes aren't wired up right, they're not going to rectify doodly squat, right?
Yeah, directional.
That's right. Regenerative braking can recover about how much energy? What do you think? What do you think? You think it's 80%?
30%?
What do you think? Do you even know?
225.
Yeah.
I said 30, am I wrong? Probably.
I'm gonna let that one be a mystery. You guys got to find that out. Anybody got the book already? All right, then you'll have to find it. Huh?
100 something.
Okay. Why are the high voltage batteries not allowed to be fully charged to 100%?
Then it kills the battery life, doesn't it?
Bad for them. Not good for them. Burns them up.
Just write down because it's bad.
About 60% is your optimum charge on a hybrid vehicle battery.
Then you can't get nowhere.
All right. Now, some of you guys got to give me a short answer one here. How much of the energy normally wasted by brake heat is recovered by regenerative braking? We're going to let that one be a mystery. You guys got to answer it for me. I can't spoon feed you every answer, huh? Huh?
Yeah.
I didn't ask for guesses. I asked for actual facts. Okay.
Where's that dual enrollment version of that book you have?
I'm not exactly sure. Let me see.
Here's the problem with typing this in on Google.
Huh?
Here's the problem with typing this kind of stuff in on Google. It
What?
takes me to the book people for like a practice test
Uh-huh.
with no answer, you know?
You're typing exactly that question in, huh? Reeves. All right, you guys need to make sure that you get these tests turned in because there's a bunch of empty snuggle teeth in here. Moody is the only one that has consistently got every test. The only person in here that doesn't have any snaggle teeth in his special topics is Moody. Everybody else has got snaggle teeth. Got to get that straightened out because that's part of it's a fourth of your grade.
I just turned all mine in.
A likely story. All right then. All right then. Make it up as he goes. All right. Okay, we're done with that. So what do you think?